On this week's edition of Stony Brook News.
Controversy over Kenneth LaValle Stadium.
Suffolk County looks for feedback on its dredging project.
And we take a look at how much people on Long Island spend on Valentine's Day.
All that and more in the first edition of Stony Brook News. Good afternoon and welcome to the first edition of Stony Brook News. I'm Kira Dennehy.
And I'm Jim Lowe.
Bad news for commuters who use the Long Island Railroad because starting in March they might see a 4% fare hike increase. If the latest MTA proposal takes effect, it will raise the average ticket price from $334.50 to $344. That's a 102% increase since 1999. Kenneth LaValle Stadium is home to Stony Brook athletes and sports lovers, but a recent vote by Senator LaValle, the stadium's namesake, has Stony Brook students wondering if it's time for a name change. Rosemary Ann has the story.
New York State Senator Kenneth LaValle represents parts of Brookhaven and the east end of Long Island. This senator was one of only 4 in Albany's upper chamber to vote against the ban on gay conversion therapy.
This was really an individual attack on the LGBTQ plus community. That's how we see it. And that's why we're not talking about the rest of his record, which as college Democrats, we have often disagreed with him in the past. Getting his name off the stadium is about making sure that this university prioritizes the LGBTQ plus community.
Stony Brook News reached out to Senator LaValle, Stony Brook's athletic director, and the college Republicans. None commented on this matter. Senator LaValle's communications director responded to the Statesman with an email saying that he believes this new law deviates from the current method for banning medical practice. On campus, the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance and House of Shades worked with college Democrats to create a petition for changing the stadium's name.
It's a direct reflection on where our priorities are as a university. Who is sitting in the administration building making the decisions for what our building should be named and who after, and what are the values and are they representative of what we value here at Stony Brook.
Although the law passed 57-4 in the Senate, some students find Senator LaValle's vote unacceptable.
We just think it's very important that no one in that community has to, graduate in a stadium that glorifies a man who would subject them to emotional and psychological abuse and torture.
Senator LaValle helped secure state funding for this $27 million stadium. Whether or not his name will be removed is still uncertain. For Stony Brook News, I'm Rosemary Ann.
This Thursday marks 1 year since the tragic mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. The tragedy that took the lives of 17 people sparked action from high school students and advocates around the country to push for stronger gun legislation. Just last month, New York lawmakers approved the first major gun control bills in the last 6 years. Last week, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers completed a $3 million dredging project along Long Island's part of the Intracoastal Waterway. With more dredging projects like this one being planned for the future, the Marine Industry Revitalization Advisory Council is hosting public hearings in order to get input from Suffolk County residents to find the best way to protect and grow Long Island's marine industry. Rachel Eiler has a story.
With 980 miles of shoreline, many freshwater ponds, and a history of harsh nor'easters, Suffolk County needs to restore Long Island's navigation channel, especially the crucial Intracoastal Waterway, and they do it with dredging. The digging out of sand and gravel that's unseen under the water's surface is intended to make boating safer and mitigate flooding by restoring erosion of the sea floor.
Those channels will clog up with sediment and have to be opened up once in a while just for safety.
In Bayport, spoils from nearby dredging ended up in the canal behind Bob Sherry's home, driving away the marine life.
It's black water, it's silty, it's road runoff, and it discharges in the mouth of the canal, and then the incoming tide just brings it all into the end of the canal, and it just settles down. And we used to have in my yard, when it was first dredged, we'd see the snappers coming in the fall. That doesn't happen anymore. There's not enough water. We used to have eels constantly there in the wintertime. You don't see that anymore.
Sherry, along with other affected and wary residents, didn't need much prompting to dredge up their complaints about the state's actions and drop them in front of officials at a public hearing.
There are options. There are containment sites where it can be put into a contained area, either at the shoreline or even upland. It can be dried out and perhaps used for a landfill cover and things like that.
However, many of these dredge material sites have closed, leaving materials to be dumped into the bays. Constituents have suggested the idea of using the spoils for other restoration projects, but officials have responded to multiple concerns of not having containment sites by blaming the lack of funding.
The town has a responsibility because they have such heavy regulations and they make it difficult for anyone who's in the dredging business to actually dredge because they have no place to put the material.
For now, these rich sediments will continue to be dumped right into Long Island waterways until a policy can be put in place to figure out what to do with this dredging material. Reporting for Stony Brook News, I'm Rachel Eiler.
Professors at Wright State University are entering the third week of strike that shuttered the campus. Pushed by overspending and declining enrollments, the university is seeking to shift professors into a different healthcare plan. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine stated that he had no plans of stepping in. However, as the strike stretches on, union leaders have called upon him for help. The strike is the longest at a public university in nearly 30 years.
So Valentine's Day is Thursday. Do you have a Valentine this year, Jim?
I do not, but I do hope that everyone feels the love this week.
Well, there may be love in the air this week. You may also see some snowflakes in the air too. For all that information, let's turn it over to Justin Bettenhauser for this week's forecast. Justin?
Thank you, Kira. Let's look at the academic mall. It's cloudy skies, currently 33 degrees. Now let's take a look at the hourly forecast. By 3 o'clock, we should be reaching 36 degrees with a low of 29. Going into the 7-day forecast, we will be seeing a wintry mix, about 3 inches of snow. And then going into Valentine's Day, we will see partly cloudy skies. If you want to do something with your special someone, that will be the perfect day. That's it for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Justin. The field for the 2020 presidential election is quickly filling up with Democratic candidates looking to unseat President Donald Trump. The most recent to declare is Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Her candidacy continues the trend of a historically diverse pool of candidates, which now features 6 women, including New York's own Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris of California, and Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Valentine's Day saturates stores and restaurants for those looking to spend a good time with their partners. But how much are Long Islanders willing to spend? Our reporter Danielle Tomlinson spoke with business owners across the island to answer that question.
Valentine's Day isn't only about big love. It's about big business. The National Retail Federation has reported that Americans will spend an average of $161 to celebrate their love this Valentine's Day. That's the average, but we all know that Long Island is an expensive place to live. In Suffolk County, business owners like Michael see customers splurge for love in his edible arrangement shop in Smithtown.
I have people that come in and spend like $300, $400. I had a guy come in spend 1.3K on just arrangements. So for Valentine's Day, I'd say that's a good estimate.
Businesses in Nassau County are seeing higher than average Cupid sales too.
An average man in any part of Long Island, the city, is going to be probably about $200 spending on a Valentine gift.
But gifts remain traditional, with sweet surprises and flowers in 2019.
For Valentine's Day, we usually move a lot of the bears. The arrangement stuff, usually dip boxes, more boxes in the arrangements, because a lot of boxes just get quick and go.
So love, it's essential. But how much are you willing to spend? Reporting for the Stony Brook News, I'm Danielle Tomlinson.
Last weekend, the Super Bowl was a bit of a letdown, but you know what didn't let me down was the Seawolves. For more on this, let's turn it over to our sports reporter, Sarita Yelverton. Sarita?
Thanks, Kira. Stony Brook Athletics had a great Saturday. First, Women's tennis faced Army early that morning. They started off strong in doubles play and were able to keep up the energy into singles play, securing them the win. Next, women's basketball faced UMass Lowell that afternoon. Our Lady Seawolves did not let being on the road throw them off their game. Since the Riverhawks joined D1 in 2013, Stony Brook has won all 12 games played against them, including Saturday's victory. Senior Shania Shorty Johnson broke the school's 29-year-old single-season assist record when she recorded her 185th assist of the season this Saturday. This is the third record Johnson has claimed this year. Stony Brook women's and men's track and field ran at the Fast Track National Invitational. The women finished top 8 in 10 events, while the men finished top 8 in 7, and sophomore Luke Coulter broke a school record. Finishing first in the 800 meter with a time of 1 minute and 52.44 seconds, he now qualifies for the IC4As. Men's basketball finished the day at home with a win against UMass Lowell. Senior Jerron Cornish led the team with their first 30-point performance of the season. All game, our Seawolves were neck and neck with the Riverhawks until Cornish took over, putting Stony Brook in the lead with a personal 9-point run. Yaboa finished the night with a slam dunk. Besides track and field, spring sports have not yet gotten underway, but America East Conference preseason polls have been kind to Stony Brook teams. This season, softball was selected to finish third and baseball second in their conference. Junior Melissa Rawrich was named one of the top 100 players in the nation according to Softball America. She was ranked number 45. Also, Stony Brook women's lacrosse was selected to finish first and men's second this season in the America East. Junior Allie Kennedy and senior Mackenzie Burns recently played on the United States women's national team. They both earned starting spots and were 2 of only 8 collegiate athletes named to the 26-player roster. Our men's lacrosse team returns to LaValle Stadium this Saturday at 12 p.m. for their first game against the Penn State Panthers. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys.
That's all we have for this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Thanks for watching. I'm Kira Dennehy.
And I'm Jim Lowe. Have a great day and a loving week.
Bye.